Today is my second and also last day in Copenhagen, so I'm gonna make the most out of it. In the previous video, I visited a lot of the highlights of Copenhagen, including Tivoli, the City Hall, the Round Tower, the Botanical Garden and Rosenborg. And today I will go to Amalienborg Palace, the Marble Church, the Castellet, Christiansborg Palace and of course the famous Little Mermaid. But first, let's start the day with a morning walk through this area of beautiful architecture on the way to my breakfast, which I have at the Espresso House, where they have all of these lovely food options. After I finished my breakfast, I stepped, like I did the day before, again on the hop-on, hop-off bus. And as I was in the front seat and the weather was beautiful, I really enjoyed the ride. And here, as you can see, I crossed Tivoli. And here, the Tivoli Hotel. Riding through Copenhagen, I am nicely surprised by the variety of old and new buildings that alternate. And of course, the bus also passes the highlights of the city, so you get a good view on the MUST-SEES. I get off at one of the latest stops, which is by the icon of Copenhagen, the Little Mermaid. And just like the staff in the hostel said that it wasn't something that would blow your mind, it actually didn't. However, the amount of people visiting this mermaid did, however, blow my mind a bit. And unlike almost all those tourists, I didn't get on the bus again, but I went to visit the Castellet, right next to the mermaid, which was kind of a surprising choice as it was very windy and there was rain forecasted. But armed with my raincoat and a big smile, I went for it. And I must say, due to the sound that my coat made in the wind, I wasn't the only one smiling, as I saw people that passed me also giggling. The Castellet was nice to have a walk through, but as it wasn't super special, my advice is skip it if it's raining. Walking there almost on my own was, however, a quite cool experience. Next was the St. Albanus Church, which is positioned besides the Castellet and definitely worth a visit if you are in that area anyway. Walking from the church into the direction of the water, you cross the Nyhavn fountain. The harbor area I really liked, as there were quite a lot of information points giving you some information about the work they do and their sustainability goals and projects. And you could of course also watch the boats passing by. Amalienborg Palace was my next stop, and just like Rosenborg, which I had visited the day before, this highlight really surprised me, as I found the rooms very beautiful and all very diverse. Have a look for yourself. Every room has its own unique style, which makes every room a total different experience than the one before. And look at all these chandeliers. At 12 o'clock I was outside again on the square at Amalienborg, since the changing of the guard takes place here every day at noon, which is quite nice to witness. Not far away from Amalienborg is the marble church, which I loved both outside as well inside. Then it was time for something less common to visit, which is Illum, a very big and impressive shopping center. A spot that, even if you're not looking for something to buy, is a nice experience to visit, as the building is beautiful. As I of course had arrived in Copenhagen by bicycle, I wasn't planning on buying something. I just wandered around a bit in the building and enjoyed the art and nice architecture. And if you're looking for a fancy spot to eat something, at the top floor here there are some options as well. When I left the shopping mall, the sky had become totally blue, which made it the perfect timing to go to Nyhavn. And like almost everything, the sun made the colorful houses shine. After doing a photo shoot in front of all the colorful houses, I walked over the boulevard all the way to the end, as there are some more interesting buildings to watch. As I turned around to walk back, the sky had changed into grey, which wasn't a good sign for what was coming. Especially as my next planned activity was outside. Namely, going on a boat tour, which I, despite of the weather, still was looking forward to, but little did I know. As some of you might know, I love boats. So the beginning through the canals, together with the nice information we got from our guide, was great. But as we arrived in the bigger open water, the wind increased a lot, so the cozy vibes disappeared a bit. But I do still enjoyed it. During the boat trip, we navigated to many spots you would normally not visit, and the information of the guide was very interesting. The wind, however, made that it had become quite cold, but so far it wasn't raining yet.
This was actually a gift to Copenhagen from A.P. Møllerfonden, at least officially. Unofficially or semi-officially, the owner back then of the Maersk, the shipping container line, Maersk Møller, he wanted to leave behind a legacy.
But you might guess it already, the rain was only a matter of time before it fell down on us, and so we got a raincoat from our guide. And although it was almost the worst weather which you can have on such a boat trip, I couldn't help but still enjoying the ride. I actually had even more fun after it started raining, as I found it really funny to see all of us sitting in a boat with our raincoats on, which all moved heavily due to the wind. So on some moments I really had to suppress my laugh.
And then, like we say, there's no bad weather, they're just the wrong clothes.
As the boat crossed some buildings and highlights I had already seen, I however did like it a lot to see it from a different perspective and to get some more information about them. So I would really recommend such a boat trip, but perhaps check the weather forecast first.
You turn it into beer, and the process actually kills all the bacteria that make people sick. So back then everybody was drinking beer.
After passing one of the many low bridges, we had arrived at the spot where we had left. So it was time to get off the boat. And at this point, as I wanted to get the most out of this last day in Copenhagen and out of my Copenhagen card, which I talked about in my previous video, I decided to pass some time here to get on the last hop-on hop-off bus of the day to visit some areas I haven't been in yet. But to do so I had to wait around 45 minutes. So I first went into a souvenir shop and then I decided to visit Christiansborg Palace, a highlight close to the bus stop and included in my ticket. So off I went. And although I didn't have a lot of time and therefore initially I had decided not to visit it as it would be too much, I'm glad I decided to go as it was just like Amalienborg and Rosenborg, beautiful. Even if you're not a big fan of such museums, I would still recommend to visit these places, even to just walk through it for a moment. Something you can easily do for free if you already bought a Copenhagen card anyway. The highlight for me here was, I think, these carpets, as I was blown away by the nice colors, the size of them and the amount of details the carpets had. But I must say also all the other rooms were beautiful. Around 40 minutes later I was back at the bus stop to take the one hop-on hop-off bus that I hadn't been on yet. And this track was, I think, the less popular one, as there weren't many people on the bus and the bus didn't pass the big highlights. I, however, did like it precisely because of that. I had seen most of the big attractions and I enjoyed seeing now some more of the less touristic parts of Copenhagen. Returning to the busier area, I passed the different entrances of Tivoli, which I had luckily visited while the weather was much better. For my last evening in Copenhagen, I had planned to go to Nyhavn to see how it looked in the evening. So I walked through the shopping streets, where I found this beautiful courtyard, to the harbor. And the vibes of Nyhavn by night didn't disappoint, as it was really cozy with all the lights. After walking on the boulevard and passing every restaurant at least 3 times, I finally made a choice to eat somewhere. But as the wind had increased a lot, it wasn't comfortable to eat outside. So I moved inside. As I had finished my meal, it had become really dark outside, and besides the lights of the restaurants, you couldn't see much anymore of the harbor. On my way home, I passed this ice cream shop where I of course needed to get a dessert. So, after getting an ice cream, I walked back to the hostel while I passed all the beautifully lit buildings and streets. While I understand if people want to chill in the hostel hotel at night, I still recommend in whatever city you are to go out at least once at night, as the vibe of a place can be so different than during the day, just like Tivoli in my previous video. And on my walk back, I of course had to take a look inside this, for me, new supermarket, which had this kind of biological market vibe, which I really liked. And for the ones that follow me longer, look again at these IKEA-like products. And of course, I had to say goodbye to Tivoli one more time on this last evening. And that was it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. In the next video, I'm going to take the boat to Germany and end my bicycle adventure in the Netherlands. So, see you there.